saw. My April box is here, so we're gonna open this bad boy, okay? And get started. I don't know what I just did there. All right. It's beautiful. All right, so the bookmark says use me or lose me, which I think is great. But here we are. She's stunning. Wow. Oh, I didn't even notice this little detail on the back that says Book of the Month, April. Let's see what she looks like naked. Ooh, with the little emboss right there. All right. Oh man, this is going to be so much fun. Yeah, this is a thick one. This is a thick one for sure. So, guys, I got my book, Kaikeyi. I think that's how you say it, by Vaishnavi Patel. So this is my April 2022 book of the month. So we're gonna go ahead and read the synopsis here. I was born on the full moon under an auspicious constellation, the holiest of positions, much good it did me. So began Kaikeyi's story, the only daughter of the kingdom of Kaikeyi. She is raised on the tales of the gods, how they churn the vast ocean to obtain the nectar of immortality, how they vanquish evil and ensure the land of Bharat prospers, and how they offer powerful boons to the worthy. Yet she watches as her father unceremoniously banishes her mother, listens as her own worth is reduced to the marriage alliance she can secure, and when she calls upon the gods for help, they seem to never hear. Desperate for independence, she turns to the text she reads once with her mother and discovers a magic that is hers alone. With it, Kaikeyi transforms herself from an overlooked princess into a warrior diplomat and most favored queen. But as the evil from her childhood stories threatens the cosmic order, the path she has forged clashes with the destiny the gods have chosen for her family. And Kaikeyi must decide if resistance is worth the destruction it will wreak, and what legacy she intends to leave behind. So the reason why I think I'm really excited about this one is because I love Indian culture, and so this is right up the alley with that. But two, it seems like it's going to be like kind of like an Indian mythological fantasy novel, which I am so here for. I have one of those style of books on my shelf. I have Bahubali. I have a Bahubali book on my shelf that I read and actually really liked. I love the movies as well. So yeah, and just can we? How is that not gorgeous? And the spine, it's stunning. So yes, April book of the month. You'll love to see it. So now that we have the book, it's currently April 4th. The next part of this vlog is going to be me reading it, experiencing it, and giving you my rating. So thank you guys for tuning into this vlog, and I'm excited to film these every month. Everyone. So we are here with the, I want to say like first official update of Kaikeyi. I think I did a little update of like the first chapter that I read of this book, like at the beginning of the month. But as I'm filming this right now, it is April 26th, and it is the official release day of Kaikeyi, which is really exciting. So the book of the month, you get the books a little bit ahead of time. So I've had this since the beginning of April, but I just only read the first chapter and I haven't picked it up since. I will say that when I read the first chapter, I loved it. I constantly would think about it throughout the weeks, and I always wanted to pick it up, but I just had other books that I wanted to read. And I kind of am shooting myself in the foot because now that I am in it, I don't want to put it down. I'm actually really enjoying my time with this book, and I don't think I've actually summarized this very well. So I'm going to do my best to kind of give you a description and backstory of kind of what this book entails, because it's basically like Hindu mythology retelling, and I find that so awesome. So the Ramayana is an Indian epic about a prince named Ram, who actually is a reincarnated god. And so in the Ramayana, he is exiled. He's about to take, the kingdom in his country, and he's actually exiled from taking the throne from his stepmom. And so basically in the Ramayana, he's exiled for 14 years, and he's exiled with his brother and his wife Sita. And in that 14 years, he gains alliances, he fights wars, and in that 14-year exile, his wife Sita actually gets kidnapped by the demon king Raman. And if I'm saying this wrong, please let me know, but I watched a video, so I tried to do a quick summary of it. So basically by the end of it, he gets his wife back, and he also claims the throne that he was exiled from 14 years prior. So then you're thinking, who is Kaikeyi? Kaikeyi is the stepmom who banished Ram in the Ramayana. So basically in current Hindu mythology, she's seen as evil. She does not have a good reputation, because she is the one who banished Ram from the throne and basically kickstarted his 14-year exile. So when I heard that, I thought that was so interesting, because whenever you get a different perspective and kind of into a villain origin story, I always find that fascinating. And me, I have no knowledge of Hindu mythology or epics or anything like that. So I was really excited to read this. And if you don't know, if you look at the backlog of my channel, I react to a lot of Bollywood movies, and I love Indian culture, and I just have a deep appreciation for, their culture and their way of life. And so reading this is really fun because it feels like I'm kind of learning some history, just kind of about Hinduism and what they believe, which is cool. So that's what this is. It's Kaikeyi's story, and it's been really good. So I am 150 pages in currently, and I have it tabbed in 50-page increments because I really want to finish this by the end of the month. And it's April 26th, so that means there are 4 days left basically before the end of the month. And honestly, I don't think I'll have any problem finishing this because I can't put it down. Like last night, I read a 50-page chunk, and I just wanted to keep going because I wanted to know more. And so I kept reading. So I actually got almost 2 50-page sections read yesterday. I got a little tired, so I stopped 10 pages before post-it note, which is fine because that means today I can just add that to a reading. So definitely today I will hopefully get even 100 more pages read, but 150 pages in, and I am very fascinated. So that was kind of a spoiler-free synopsis of Kaikeyi and what the story is about, and kind of the backstory of Kaikeyi as a character, and basically what you're following. And if I had to give a spoiler-free synopsis of the first 150 pages, you're learning about Kaikeyi, who she is, the power that she has, her story, and it's so good. It's so good, and it's refreshing kind of I've read the past couple of days, I've been reading romance and rom-com books and stuff that isn't really just fun, but fun in a an enthralling kind of way. This just is her writing style is just so smooth that it's easy to read, but you feel like you're gaining a lot of knowledge at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. I hope it does. But in the first 150 pages, we follow Kaikeyi as a child in the palace of her father and her 7 brothers. This isn't a spoiler, but like in the first chapter, she basically her mom ends up going away and she never sees her again, really. So it's her trying to deal with that. And, yeah, it's cool. And, by this point in the book, she's 16, 17 years old, and we're just following her life. And so I'm really excited to see how we get to the Ramayan story of her and her like stepson Ram and Sita and all of that, which I'm sure that's coming. But just now, this beginning part is really good, and I'm going to get into spoilers a little bit. So I just kind of wanted to give that backstory of the book because I don't think I explained it well previously, and I really want to give this book justice because it's really, really good. Like, I'm really enjoying myself. Take a sip of coffee here. So basically, now we're in spoilers because I want to talk about this book. Her as a kid was great. You got this idea that Kaikeyi is a very strong-willed, hardworking young woman. She values her family and her relationships, and I think this binding power that she has is so interesting. I will say you can kind of see a flaw though with her using it because she lost one of her friends, Nita, I want to say, and her brother. I thought it was really sad how she just could not understand where her brother was coming from. And I mean, I get it, it would be very hard to marry someone that you don't know when she was supposed to have a choice. That's the reason she was upset at her twin brother, is because she was supposed to have a choice in who she got to pick. And the word for that, like, kind of competition, it's a really long word. I don't want to butcher it, but I'll put it right here. She was supposed to have one of those competitions with princes in the kingdom so that she could at least have some choice in picking a husband. But because Kaikeyi, I think her kingdom is just not in a good place, they couldn't wait 2 more months to have that. So they picked a king for her, and she was not happy. And it just made me sad to see her relationship with her twin brother just dwindle, especially when those first 100 pages or so, you felt just a sweet bond between brother and sister, and how he helped her fight and how she helped him with like strategy and like government and stuff. And it was just a cool dynamic to see them work with one another. And so when they lost that and she shattered their connection to one another, it made me really sad, definitely. And especially I'm not all the way in with her new season of life with her husband. She's the 3rd wife of her husband, and I'll put his name here. And he seems great so far. It's a little weird with him having 3 wives, but it's just a different time, and it's a different time and place. But he seems very respectful and kind, and he listens to her, and he allowed her into battle, and he allowed her to drive the chariots. And so he seems like he's not afraid of her, which I like. And there was a moment after the battle when he was, her, and he asked her what she wanted. He gave her 2 boons, which is a big deal, and I guess in Hindu mythology. She said she wanted to be in the councils where they have with the men, about when they make government policies and talk about things going on in the kingdom. And he granted her that, and he just seems very respectful of who she is as a person, and I really appreciate that, because for me, this is the type of women empowerment and feminism that I can get behind, because it's not demeaning men. It's just saying that we want a voice. We want an equal place in society, which women didn't have in this time. Women were getting beaten. They had no say. They were getting married off for dowries. It was just a very hard time to be a woman. And so to see Kaikeyi counteract that is really awesome. And I love the way she does it. She's so smart. She listens, she studies, and I love her, her handmaiden as well. She just helps her so much. And I think that's what's been so cool about this beginning section. So basically I am I want to say I'm like at the very beginning of part 2. So part 1 was her childhood. Part 2 is her coming to her new kingdom, being a bride. And it's been so cool just to see her in battle and kill the person who was in charge of the uprising in the north. Was just awesome. And I am thoroughly, it's been a while since I've read a fantasy book like this that I've enjoyed, and I love mythology retellings. All right here, I have a ton of Greek mythology retellings because I love Greek mythology. I think it's so fascinating, and I hope that, I want to say Vaishnavi writes more books on Hindu mythology because she's so good at it, and I'm excited to see how she's going to portray Kaikeyi's story when it comes to Ram and his exile, because is it going to give us like a more sympathetic view of it, or are we going to just, maybe not sympathetic, is it going to help the reader understand why she had to do it? Maybe this was the best thing to defend the kingdom or her husband or whatever. Like, we don't know that. And so I'm just really looking forward to see the take and like how she's gonna have us look at Kaikeyi's decision when it comes to exiling Ram. So this has been so good, and I didn't think I was gonna like it this much. I honestly didn't know what I was thinking when I picked this up, but like, I'm having such a good time, and I am so glad that I picked this on Book of the Month, and I'm just so excited for her. I feel like, it's great. And I mean, look at this cover too. I'm happy. As someone who loves Indian culture and, just has a sweet place in my heart for that country and the people, like, this has been so nice to read and learn about some of, their history, because I've never read the Ramayana. I don't know anything really about Hinduism, so this is cool. And they talk a lot about Ganesh and Vishnu and all of the gods. So things that I hear, but I don't really know about. So it's really good. And I would highly recommend this for anybody, especially if you're a fantasy mythology type lover. I think you would really like this book. If you're a woman, I think you would like this book because it has I'm not all the way through it, so I can't speak on like the type of feminism that's in this, but it's definitely a healthy one, which I appreciate. So yeah, I just want to get into it. I want to read it more. So I'm 150 pages in. I probably, my goal is to update you when I'm 100 more pages in. So on page 250, we'll see how that goes. But if not, I'll talk to you guys at 100 or 200 pages. But I just wanted to give that update and kind of let you guys know what this book was about, do a little bit of spoilers, and yeah, just talk about what's going on. So thank you guys for being here for this reading vlog, and I'm excited to keep going. Hi, I'm back. So I have literally just read only one chapter since I last updated you guys. I'm on page 168, and I just wanted to update because something crazy happened. So in this chapter, she ended up meeting Ravana, which is the demon king that I talked about in the previous story that Ram fought in order to get his kingdom back. And so in this chapter, she met him. She told him about her power that she had about going into the binding place, which I don't like that she did at all. And so basically what happened is she went back to his room, and he had scrolls on magic, and so he let her read them, and she basically found out more about her power and realized that not only is she able to influence and control her connection to other people, but she now can control other people's connections. So basically she tried it out on Ravana, and she touched his connection with his wife and then some random guy that he met when he was traveling. And so she didn't want to take the scrolls from him, but he said How about in exchange for the scrolls, you owe me a favor at some point, you know? She thought that was fair, so she left with the scrolls and was basically like, you know, I don't think I'll ever see him again, so it's no big deal. But I'm stressed because this is a half demon king, right? So I feel like the repayment is going to be banishing her stepson from the kingdom. You know what I mean? Like, because he gave her these scrolls, she's going to have to now banish her stepson from the kingdom. And I don't trust this at all. I don't trust it at all. But if that's the case, that sucks for Kaikeyi. Because, you know, for the price of learning more about her magic, she now is in debt basically to a demon king. And that sucks. So, yeah, I just wanted to update them because that chapter seemed really important. And I just cannot believe she trusted him so willingly. Especially if she knew he was half demon. Like, I'm sorry, you met one of those things as a kid when she was with her son or with her brother, right? I think they're called, what did she call this thing? Yeah, so when they were younger at the river, her dad and his like army were hunting a demon, and they're called, it starts with an R2. Oh, Rakshas, I want to say. And so she saw that in his eyes. Like, she knew from, like, the moment she looked in his eyes that he was, like, there was some demon in him, you know? So he's half demon king, and I just don't understand why she trusted him so well. I'm so nervous for her. But, so yeah, just finished the last 10 pages of that section. So I'm going to read another section really quick here and then continue on with my day. So I just wanted to share that because I just feel like that was a really important part, and I'm nervous now. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy because I just finished chapter 15, and basically the bond that she lost with her brother before she left to get married is restored. And it was so sweet, and it made me happy. And there's a lot going on right now. Like, Agni, the god of fire, basically told her that she's basically cursed and the gods don't touch her because of what she will do, which of course we know is banish her stepson. So, this is so good. I'm having so much fun reading this, and I'm really enjoying this. But I just want to say that, like, I'm happy that she got restored with her twin brother, and that he, you know, just wishes her well, and that their bond was restored. So I love that. Just wanted to check in. So I am on page 210 now, chapter 18, and it was just so heartwarming. All three wives have had sons now. So Kaikeyi has had Bharat. The first Radhani has had Ram, and then the second Radhani has had twins. They're all sons, and basically in this 50-page section, they have raised their sons together. They are it's so heartwarming to see them all love on one another. They're raising their kids together. They also, interestingly enough, have a women's council at night once a week where they basically help the women in the kingdom, the homeless, the children, and it's really great to see that too, just them helping others that can't go to the main council in the kingdom with the men. So that's really amazing as well. Also, you just see also in the women's council one time, her mom's old handmaiden came and told her that her mom was alive and living in the city, and so basically now that lady is working with the first Radhani. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's going to come into play later, but you know, it's just sweet. Kaikeyi is treating Ram like it's her son, and she loves him. She loves all of them. They are just such a cute family. And this last sentence of chapter 17 is just so sweet. They're playing a hide and seek game with the king, And Kaikeyi says, I felt peaceful, light in a way I hadn't been in years. I had a place here with 4 perfect, beautiful sons who could be happy in a way I'd never been as a child. I had a family and they loved me. And it just seems so sweet. And this is why this book is so good, because like I need to stop reading. I'm not going to read until tonight, later tonight, the next 50 pages, but listen to how chapter 18 starts. Long after I ripped apart the entire kingdom, old servants claimed they saw me behave cruelly toward Ram when he was a child. And it's just like, clearly we just saw that that's not the case. So this is just so heartbreaking too, because it seems like something's gonna happen that's just she's not in control of, and it's gonna have to do with her power, and I think it's gonna have to do with the like favor she has with that demon king. And my heart breaks for her, because it just was so sweet and wholesome just now with her kids and the king and her fellow like Radini. So yeah, I'm really sad, but I'm on chapter 18 right now. I'm gonna read more later. I just wanted to give that update because I just don't want it to go bad. And we're almost halfway through, more than halfway through actually, and I just feel like the bad stuff's coming, and I feel bad for Kaikeyi, so yeah. Hey guys, so it is 7:30 on Thursday, April 28th, and I have 50 pages left. So yesterday I could not put this book down, and I don't even know how many pages this is, but I read this thick chunk of book, and now I just have one little 50-page section left, and where do I even begin? So I think my last update, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, Kaikeyi, had just had a wholesome moment with her family. And I think the next chapter, she went into it kind of basically started to get into why she has this bad reputation, or how she gets this reputation, And so we went through so many things. I don't even think I can kind of word vomit what we went through after that whole wholesome experience. But basically, she had to go on this trip down south to where her mom lived, because there was this Assyria destroying the nation or whatever. And she wanted to go with Ram, but he didn't go. She went with I don't know the other son's name, I'll put it here, but I loved that whole trip with him, because I feel like she got a really good bond with that son, and it was just so wholesome, that whole experience. And she got to meet her mom again, and it was just so nice, and hear what really happened, and it was just great. She still has this relationship with Ravna, the demon king, which I don't quite trust or understand. She really, really, he's been really kind to her, but I just don't trust him. I feel like he is the one who probably killed that nation in the South's royal family so he could get power. I don't trust him fully, And so that's just my perspective on it. But she's still friends with him, and then he flew them back on this swan boat thing, which was really cool. So much happened. She destroyed this Assyria. She comes back and she realizes they were gone for almost 2 moons, And she comes back and realizes that like the nation where she's from, her kingdom with her husband, is different because Ram has been able to kind of influence people. And so, as I mentioned before, she has this like binding place power where she can kind of feel the souls of people around her, influence them in a way. But Kaikeyi does it in a way that's like not really demanding. She just really tries to help people. And she learned from an early age like how her power can be negative towards others. And so when she tries to talk to people and see their connection, she realizes they have diminished a little. And there's like this blue aura that people are having, and that's from Ram. It's not even like a healthy aura. She describes it kind of like a choker on them. So he's influencing them in a negative way. Basically, they're all just like controlled by him in a sense. And her son that went with her on the trip was controlled, but she broke it off of him. So that's how she was able to restore her bond with that son. And so it was just crazy. And then she comes back, she's trying to help again, but then she's forced to leave again because her dad is dying. So she goes back home to her main kingdom with her actual son Bharat, and they go and deal with that. And it's good, you know, because she gets that time with her brothers and stuff. But then her brother tells her that like, because her husband promised that Bharat would be king, not Ram, if Bharat is not king, they're going to wage war on her now home kingdom with her husband because he has to honor his dead father's wishes, which I just like, I thought that was so dumb, honestly, like dumb in a more modern sense because it's like, bro, just relax. But in a context, in a historical, mythological context, I get it because like honor and things like that had a much higher value. You know, I wouldn't say higher value because we honor now, but it's just not as intense, I guess you could say. So she's going back now from her home after her father passes away, dealing with that struggle of what am I going to do? Am I going to have to, you know, I have to convince Ram that like he can't be king right now because my brother's going to wage war because my husband didn't honor his vow to me when we got married. So you can kind of feel the weight that Kaikeyi is feeling. She doesn't want anybody to go to war because when she experienced war at the beginning of the book with her husband, it ate at her. She did not like it. She does not want anyone to experience it again. She doesn't want to lose any like men in her kingdom because of that. So she just does not want war. So when she gets back, Ram wants to go to war to stop people in the north, and she comes to find out that he actually is taking the throne. Her husband is abdicating because, again, everyone has that aura to them, that blue aura that Ram has like influenced them with. So her husband, who is totally fine, healthy, whatever, is abdicating for some reason, which we know is Ram. So she's in a tough pickle. She's in a very tough pickle. And it's so crazy because I was reading this. Oh, and I have to say, there was a part when I was reading this when we were in Ravana's kingdom where her mom was. We find out that Sita is Ravana's daughter. I was like, what? And so I immediately Googled because that was not in the video that I watched. And I guess that's kind of like a dispute among like religious leaders in Hinduism because, I mean, it's not like set in stone that she's his daughter, but there are some people who believe that. So I thought that was like a really cool twist to kind of give Ravana the motivation to want to make sure that, you know, his daughter's okay and kind of give him that like motive to go bad. So on top of taking care of Sita, on top of her husband abdicating the throne, on top of her brother wanting to wage war, and on top of all the influence that Ram has on the kingdom that is basically taking away all the work she did with the women's council and stuff, Kaikeyi is stressed. She's distraught. She is all of these things. And all she wants is for there to be peace and no war. And you can kind of really feel this battle in her because she loves her sons. She loves Ram. She loves her husband. She does not want to do this. But for her, doing what's right matters more than people liking her. And her her handmaiden is just so, I just love her because you can tell she really cares about Kaikeyi. And yeah, it's just, I love that whole relationship, and I think it really helps Kaikeyi in the end. But aside from all of that, Kaikeyi is in her room, and she goes to Ram after she gets back from her home country after her father dies, and is like, hey, I love you, and I think you'll make a great king, but just not right now. So, you know, she's like, just wait a couple years, and Bharat would be king, so my brother doesn't wage war, and then after those 10 years or whatever, you can be king. And of course, Ram is like, heck no. He's not having it at all. And in the middle of this conversation, Kaikeyi remembers she has 2 boons. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, I completely forgot about the boons. And I just love that that kind of snuck its way back in like that. I honestly, I normally am like good at like keeping those things in my brain, but I forgot that she had those. And as soon as she said that in her head as she was talking to Mom, I was like, I know exactly what she's about to do. I know exactly what she's about to do. And I was like, it was so, like the feeling that I had, I was like so excited that she could like use that. But at the same time, my heart broke because you know, she doesn't want to use those boons on her husband, and like she knows she's going to lose her relationship with him, and it's just like so gut-wrenching, but like it was so good. And so when I last left off, I did not want to put the book down, but I needed to give my brain a break. I had read a lot. It was almost like almost like 170 pages that I read yesterday. But when I left off, she had went into her husband's chamber, requested the boons, lost their connection. It was completely shattered. The first Radhani, just spewed gross words at her, they're calling her whore and, you know, just witch, selfish, like all of these words were just so yucky. And it wasn't them. It was kind of like the Ram influence was speaking through them because they were influenced by Ram. So because she was going against what Ram influenced them to want, all of this nastiness just came out, you know? And so he, of course, has to accept the boons because they are, you know, they are given in front of the gods in their religion. So the last chapter that I read, they have the whole, like, council ceremony where the king basically announced to the kingdom that Kaikeyi has requested her 2 boons that she received in the first war 12 years ago about. And he announces that, you know, she's exiling Ram and her husband, and Ram and his wife for 10 years. And then the last one was that Bharat would be king in those 10 years. I think that's what the second one was. And so as soon as he said it, I mean, everyone went crazy. They were gasping, upset. Ram was angry. Everyone was just so mad at her. And it made me so sad for her because her original son who took the throne, literally the last line of this chapter says, Bharat, her actual son, says, you are no mother of mine. Because, I mean, everyone just assumes that she's just doing this for power, you know? She wants women to have power. That's her whole thing that she's been working on this entire book. She wants women to have a voice, to have a place in society, to be able to, you know, take care of themselves and stuff. And so people are assuming that because she is so progressive in that sense, that she's doing this strictly for power for herself, not understanding Kaikeyi as a person, you know, and who she really is. And it's just, it's so gut-wrenching. But I love this story because I think it has a healthy view on feminism, because she trusts her husband. Her and her husband had a really good relationship. He loved her. He respected her. He allowed her to have power. And I appreciate that. And Kaikeyi knows that her husband is not in his right mind because everyone has that like Rom influence, and they were only able to get that because she was sent away. Oh, and then I forgot to mention they were sent away and attacked and stuff because of Rom. Like, he sent that stuff to attack them, and I'm just like, clearly Rom is like not in a good headspace, and nobody can see that because they're not God touched like Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi has that power, and it comes like, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time because she can't be influenced, but then everyone thinks there's like, she's like a heathen basically because she doesn't really view the gods in the same way that everybody else does. And so there's just this really good juxtaposition between Kaikeyi and everybody else, and it's my heart breaks for her. But this has been such a smooth, enthralling, fun read. And Vishnavi, sis, if you're reading this, keep going. Like, I would love, I don't know how the book ends yet. Of course, I have like 50 pages left, but can you write a book on Sita? And like, can we get like a book about her in her banishment and exile with Ram and his brother? Like, how good would that be? And then she gets to meet her like dad. Oh my gosh, write it now. I'm already pre-ordered it. Like, what? That would be so good. And so I hope this isn't like a one-off novel for her. I really hope she keeps going. I think that Sita book would be so good. And so I just wanted to check in and let you guys know that I am obsessed with this book. It's so good. And just for me too, with that like appreciation for India and the culture, I really, really have enjoyed my time with this book. It feels like I am back in like an old regal Hindu empire, and the clothes and the colors, and it's just, I can picture things. And I'm over here sitting like, which Bollywood actress was I cast as Kaikeyi? And like older Kaikeyi, I think I would love to have like a Marjorie, like someone who's like super regal and like has that grace about her that you're just sort of drawn to her. But like a younger Kaikeyi, I mean, honestly, Deepika could be like 16 up Kaikeyi. I don't know. I'm having a blast reading this, if you couldn't tell. So I can't start reading this now because I have to get work started here soon. It's like 7:40 now. I've been talking for a long time. I just got back from the gym, which is why I don't look so fresh. But I had the gym, and then I just have to, do some things, work. So adult life has to take precedence first, as always. But this book will get finished today. You will hear my thoughts, and I just have thoroughly enjoyed my time reading this. here with the final book review of Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. So as you guys saw last night, I finished the final 50 pages, and after thinking about it, I didn't want to do my final thoughts immediately then because I wanted to think about it and kind of process the rating that I wanted to give this book. I will say up until that last 50 pages, this was a 5-star for sure because I thought the writing was so good. The story and the plot was good. I loved the development of most of the characters. But the last 50 pages were just a little off for me. So I think my final rating for this book is going to be a 4.5 stars. So close to a 5, but just again, those last 50 pages just hit a little bit different for me than the rest of the book, so I'll kind of get into that here. So if you're here, of course, you've seen the whole vlog, you've been spoiled, you know what's gone on. So the last 50 pages was basically Kaikeyi dealing with the repercussions of asking for her 2 boons. In this last 50 pages, her husband passes away. The first Radhani basically is running the kingdom because Bharat decided he didn't want to take place of Ram. Ram is gone at this point, and Kaikeyi goes through a severe depression. I mean, granted, it's warranted, right? Because she just is dealing with a lot, right? But it felt kind of off for her. I don't know. It really just affected her really hard, losing her husband and losing her son's love. And I mean, she went through a lot, granted, and I guess knowing her heart, I could see why it would affect her a little bit. I don't know. It was really, really, really bizarre. I will say I do love the fact that she kind of got her groove back by seeing the impact that she had on the kingdom. Her handmaiden took her down to the marketplace like she did when she first arrived in Kola, and saw that women were running vendors and standing up for themselves. And I think it did help Kaikeyi out of her depression to see the impact that she made on the kingdom, though it may not have been the full impact that she wanted with her immediate family. And so that was really cool to see because Kaikeyi did make a difference, whether the mythology tells it that way or not. Again, this is fictional, so that stuff didn't happen, but it was just cool to see her have the impact positively where she normally has a negative one. I will say the thing that kind of gave me a 5-star was the gods section. I just thought it was kind of weird how all of a sudden the gods were reaching out to her and helping her. Maybe that's because I thought it was a little bit too late. It would have been nice to see maybe the goddess of sleep, even though she's a demigod, make a lesser god, kind of carry her throughout the story a little bit more instead of just being blindsided right at the end. She even had a conversation with the god or goddess of water. I don't know, that part was just really bizarre to me because this whole book we were basically told that she's God's touch, which means the gods do not basically deal with her. They don't answer her prayers, and then all of a sudden they're sympathetic. And I'm no, y'all are trash. Get away from her. So that's the part that I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that yet, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. I really, really think that this book should be read. I enjoyed my time, and I will definitely read another book by Vaishnavi if she writes one. I really, really hope that she writes a book on Sita, because I think that would be so good. I would love to hear Sita's story from her being wed to Ram through the exile and then being kidnapped by her father, and then when Ram comes back to the kingdom. I just think that would be a really good story, and I hope that she's open to writing that because I think she would do a really good job with it. But yeah, again, the last 50 pages, it felt off. It felt off to me. But I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this, and it was so quick to read. It's so bizarre how like the first like 400 pages were just like so good and captivating. It was really easy to get through. The pages are thick, the words are pretty big. So even though it is a novel that's on the larger side, it's easy to get through. It's easy to read, and I'd highly recommend it. So I've really enjoyed my time with Kaikeyi. I highly recommend it. And just to get that like extra insight into Hindu mythology, when I have like loved Indian cinema and Indian culture, like that has just been really cool. And I would definitely recommend this to someone who is into that, or someone who might have that background, a Hindu background. I think you would really enjoy this book. And I would be interested to know too, because I didn't know that Sita could be Ram's daughter, and to know that there's kind of like a discussion on that. People like agree with it, some people don't. I found that kind of interesting. But all in all, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Kaikeyi. I am just so thankful that Book of the Month, chose this as one of their selections. It's not something that I would have normally picked up if I saw it in Barnes & Noble or on Amazon. So I hope more people read this book. I had a really good time with it. So yeah, that's going to be my wrap up on Kaikeyi. Thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I hope you had a great time. I enjoyed, reading this book and filming this, and I'm excited to get into the next Book of the Month selection for May. And I'm so excited for that. I think at the end of these vlogs, I'm going to kind of like tell you guys what my May selection is. So for May, the book that I selected for my Book of the Month pick is Darling Girl. And I'm so excited about this. This one is another fantasy book, and it is an adult retelling of Peter Pan. Yes, that's exactly what I said. It's very dark though. And from what I saw, it follows Holly Darling. She is the daughter of Wendy, and she basically had a kid with Peter Pan. It just sounds, and Peter Pan basically is like really dark in this one, which is accurate to the original fairy tale, because original Peter Pan is not the Peter Pan from the Disney films. So I'm so excited about this. I can't wait to read and film that vlog for you guys. So yeah, that's gonna be my main Book of the Month pick, but that's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful